This is going to be a lesson on the unit circle, and it tends to be a little bit messy, so I'll try my best here. So we need to have special right triangles. You know what their sides are. So this is square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. So this may not be exactly what you remember from these special right triangles. I proportionalized it so that both of their hypotenuses are 1 unit long. The reason being is because we're going to fit these triangles inside of a circle. There's a radius of 1 unit, so the hypotenuse would end up being a radius. And the 30, 60, 90 triangle have the sides 1/2 and square root of 3 over 2. Okay, so these are just the two things we actually need to memorize this part in order to fill in the rest of the unit circle, which is on the next slide. Because all of the points around the unit circle that we're going to be dealing with are going to have these side lengths ratios. So this is a unit circle. When you haven't moved yet, 0 degrees. This is the initial side all the time. And as we know, like wherever we end up, maybe we end up right there. That's your terminal side. And the angle created there, maybe this is 30 degrees. Is made from the terminal side and the initial side. You always start here at the initial side, and we went this direction, meaning that we're positive degree measurements. It's counterclockwise. If we went the opposite direction, we would be negative angle measurements. Okay, so I'm going to recreate this thing from scratch. This is the point, so this is 0 degrees, and it's at the point 1, 0. Because it's a unit circle, this is length 1 unit. So we know that it's 1, 0. And if this is, if these are all radii, then this is going to be 0, 1. And its position is at 90 degrees. 180 is over here. This is 0, or negative 1, rather, 0. And then the bottom is 270. And that's at the point 0, negative 1. Okay, so those are the basic ones. Those ones we should be able to get just right away, no matter what, because they're straight, north, south, east, west, and they're 1 unit, so we can just straight up count it. Now, if we were to try to fit this triangle, this 30, 60, 90 triangle into here, so we get this 30 degrees going up here, here's what would happen. 30 degrees. And the triangle, would go down like this. Its right angle would be right there. And, this was 30 degrees. Then this would have the side lengths of 1/2 and square root of 3 over 2. This is length 1. And it should make sense, as our hypotenuse should be 1, because from the center to the outside is what a radius is, and, a circle has the same radii all over the place. So this would be 1 unit. Then this side length is 1/2, and this is square root of 3 over 2. If you notice the position of this point, its ordered pair for that point is simply, how we count points is we go, from the origin, we go to the right, and then we go up to this point. And if we did that, notice the distance we traveled is the exact same lengths as the sides of the triangle. So in the x direction, we went square root of 3 over 2. And in the y direction, we went 1/2. So that is the ordered pair on the unit circle at 30 degrees. Now we're going to recreate this exact same thing, but do it for 45 degrees. So same business. So 45 degrees would be right in the middle up here. And again, since this is 45 degrees right there on this triangle, that is created by this triangle, and the x direction, this thing is the side length of the 45-40 triangle, square root 2 over 2, and same thing here, square root 2 over 2. So its ordered pair is square root 2 over 2, square root 2 over 2. Okay. And then we only have really one more. I mean, we haven't filled in this unit circle by any means, but we really have all of the information that we need to be able to do this. Because the rest of it's all just going to follow suit. And we don't need to be overly concerned with memorizing this. We've memorized basically just the few points we need. And that's, I'd say, the only things you need to memorize are these two. The rest of it fixes itself, because when you're at 60, then this is, notice, the exact same triangle as we used before with the 30, 60, 90. It's just that now this thing has to be in the circle as such. Like if you're in the unit circle and this is at 60, then it's kind of flipped over. If you notice, 60's down here, 30's up there. So this thing got flipped over a little bit. But it's the same side lengths of the triangle as the 30, 60, 90 triangle we used before. It's the same measurements. So the only thing that happened with 60 degrees is it's just 30 flipped backwards. Because if this was 60 degrees, then this would be the square root of 3 over 2. And this would be 1/2. And in the x direction to get to this point, you'd go 1/2. And in the y direction, you'd go square root of 3 over 2. So, like I said, the only things you really need to memorize are the 30 degrees and the 45 degrees ordered pairs, because everything else is going to base off that. Even 60 itself bases off that. So, with that being said, you'll notice that if I drew these same angle measurements on in the next quadrant, yeah, you know, if we're starting at the initial side, these are going to be larger angle measurements, but they're using the same reference angles. Recall that a reference angle is how far you are away from the closest x-axis. So right here, you know, 30 degrees is 30 degrees away from the closest x, because it goes to 0. That's the closest x-axis. But if I was 30 degrees reference angle in this quadrant, then I would be 30 degrees away from 180. And that would be 150. The neat thing about that, the reason why reference angles are such a big deal, is because the ordered pair at that angle measurement that has the same reference angle has the same ordered pair. So we already know what 150 is, and I'm just going to stop right here and say, well, this is 30 degrees away from 180, and that's 210. If this same reference angle right here has 150 and has 30, then it should also have the same point. And it does. And there's also one more. This would be 300. Or I'm sorry, 330. Because at 0 and 360, this is the same spot. You are 30 degrees away from 360. So again, you have the same ordered pair. So we can just copy that over. Essentially, these are all these new angle measurements have the same ordered pair. One tricky thing is square root 3 over 2 and 1/2. If I'm at 150, this is the ordered pair, but we need to pay attention that x's are all negative over here in this quadrant. And just because, you know, you go to the left, you're going negative in the x direction, so the x's have to be negative. Similarly, in the third quadrant, they're both negative. So this is square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. Same order pairs, but now both negative. And down here, the x's are positive, and the y's are negative. So just by knowing what 30 degrees is, you can fill in all of the other angles that have a reference angle of 30 degrees with the same order pair. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I mean, I have At 45, there are other 45 reference angles. And so all of those are going to have the same points too, same ordered pairs as 45 if they have the same reference angle. So this is the angle 135. This is 225. Again, I'm getting these numbers because I'm just using a 45-degree reference angle from 180. This one would be 315. And same order pairs. So square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, and the x's are negative. This is square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, but they're both negative. This is square root of 2 over 2, and square root of 2 over 2, and the y's are negative. Okay, I guess we'll use the yellow. There's only one more angle to mess with, and that's the 60-degree reference angles. So it's going to be this point. 60-degree reference angle down here, 60 away from 180 again, 60 away from 360. And, we could do some math. 180, 60 degrees away from that is 120. This would be 60 degrees away from 180 is 240. And this is 300. And they have the exact same points. Same deals, same rules apply. X's are negative in the second quadrant. This is negative 1/2. Square root of 3 over 2. This is negative 1/2, negative square root of 3 over 2. Sorry, this is really sloppy. Kind of hard to type down here, or write down here. And this is 1/2 negative square root of 3 over 2. All right, so that's the completed unit circle, and that's how you create it.